The Lucas Oil ASCS Show. Your weekly stop for news and talk from America's largest sprint car series on America's fastest motorsports website, RacinBoys.com.
Welcome, everyone, to the Lucas Oil ASCS Show. I'm Scott Traylor, along with the voice of the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series, Bryan Hulbert. We are at Cocopah Speedway in Yuma, Arizona, night number 1 in the books. And a driver that has been looking for a national tour win for a long time, Bryan, comes home the winner in night number 1, Dustin Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Dustin and his whole crew. They did an outstanding job, and Dustin really had to earn that race. Several times he just about gave it up, and Johnny Herrera, even in his post-race interview, pointed out and gave props to Dustin that once he calmed down in the car and started driving, he just pulled away from him and ended up by the end of the race, he had pulled back out to a half straightaway advantage over the 45X. But, I mean, at one point they were 3 wide for the lead, and Dustin led all but 2 laps to that thing. Mitch Olson doing an absolutely outstanding job last night and faded a little bit towards the end, but still a fantastic run for him.
Johnny Herrera said in the post-race interview that he saw that Dustin was getting a little erratic with his line, but he settled down and was able to open back up. And I think the lap cars had something to do with that a little bit.
Well, the lap cars definitely had a lot to do with that, and not only in the battle for the lead, but the battle pretty much to be in the top 5, because at one point you had about a 4-car battle just for second. You had Jason Johnson, Wayne Johnson, Mitch Olson, and Johnny Herrera all in the mix right there, and lap traffic really was a determining factor on that thing. And I mean, Wayne Johnson, talk about consistency. He has finished in the top 5 the first 3 nights of the year. He's the only driver so far that has done that. So he is really coming out strong on this thing, back on the national tour, and doing an outstanding job. Jason, the Roush Yates Ford just gets better and better for him. And I really think he's putting a lot of the naysayers to rest that said, oh, it's not going to work, it didn't work. Well, it's working for him because he charged up through the field in a big way last night and really put on a good show. But again, Dustin Morgan was definitely the cream of the crop last night.
I don't think anybody's surprised with the performance of Jason Johnson and his team. They all are a little, hopeful that maybe that Ford motor might set him back a step or two, but I don't see that happening. He has a 14-point lead right now over Brady Bacon, who came into this weekend with a 4-point lead over Tony Bruce Jr. Tony Bruce Jr. has fallen back to 4th in the points, 22 points behind. So he's got a little work to do to catch up there. Bryan, let's talk quickly. This is an amazing speedway, and the fan count last night here on night number 1, usually the fan count is down just a little bit compared to night number 2. But last night, nearly 3,000 fans in the seats here at Cocopah Speedway.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. Greg Burgess coming down out of the Northwest, and, I mean, if everybody could promote like Greg Burgess, I mean, racing would be at an all-time high right now. The place was packed, and the really the neat thing about Yuma, Arizona this time of year is the snowbirds are down here. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the local guys would get cheers, but then you introduce somebody like Roger Crockett or Henry Van Dam or Mitch Olson, and this place would go crazy because it's all of their fans. They're down here for the winter. So, I mean, it was really neat to have all of them out here, and it was kind of funny. The PA announcer, Rick Summers, really nice guy, and actually was very helpful last night.
Does a good job working the crowd.
He does. He did a very good job working the crowd and getting the local sponsors the recognition they deserve. So he was down there before the races and asking, well, where's everybody from? I mean, very few people actually, it seemed like, from here, but there was still probably half the crowd was local. The other half was hanging out in the RV parks. So it was a really neat night to be out here, and we're looking forward to even more people. In fact, talking to a few people already, it's sold out for night number 2.
We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to check out the activities over at the Wild River Entertainment Center just next door to the Cocopah Resort and Casino. Great time over there. A lot of fans showed up. We'll be back with more coverage here at Cocopah in a moment.
Want better engine performance? Want better gas mileage? Do you want to save money? Try Lucas Fuel Treatment. It cleans your engine as you drive. It helps your fuel burn more thoroughly for increased performance and mileage. It also lubricates the upper cylinders. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lucas Oil ASCS show here at Cocopah Speedway in Yuma, Arizona. Brian, a little bit earlier in the week, a couple of things took place here. One that really stood out to me was over at Wild River Entertainment Center. They had a car show over there. Radio station come out, did live hits as well. I know you did some cut-ins on that radio station, but it's just unbelievable as we look at some of the video right now of how many people showed up and what that does and what kind of difference that makes for an event like this.
You know, it really does. And again, it goes back to the way Greg Burgess is promoting this show. And I mean, we had about 7 cars out there, and the drivers were able to bring some of their merchandise over. They were able to work with the fans, get some autograph cards out, able to, you know, do some networking. And it was really great for the track. It was great for the drivers. It was just great overall for the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series to get that kind of exposure and to have that kind of one-on-one with the fans. And it would be nice if we could see more tracks do something like that, because it was really, you know, just a wonderful time for everybody. And then afterwards, with everything going on inside the Family Entertainment Center, the bowling, arcade, they had the adult area with bar and everything. They were doing drink specials, and it made it where it shows the human side of these drivers, and it shows that, you know, we're all there to have a good time. And I think that's sometimes what racing forgets, is to show the human side of the drivers.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think that this is another reason to come to Cocopah anytime the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour is here, is because it makes it a destination. You can not only go over to the Family Entertainment Center next door at Wild River, you can go over and gamble a little bit. They have the racetrack here. I mean, there's so many things to do, and you don't have to leave the complex really to do it.
No, I mean, it's all really within about a quarter mile. So it's all pretty much within walking distance if you so choose. So, I mean, really there's, other than maybe needing an Applebee's across the street, it's a really, really great place to come, and it's all really kind of inclusive.
And it says a lot, again, as Brian said in segment 1, that Greg Burgess, who has been the regional director for the ASCS Northwest region for several years now, and we've talked about it on this show when we're back in the studio, that the great job that Greg does with his staff, and he always has a loyal following of staff members that are willing to go the extra mile and do things right. And again, we can't give more props than possible to Greg Burgess.
No, we can't. I mean, it all comes back to how you treat your employees, and he's probably one of the best as far as treating his employees right and treating them fairly and making sure that, you know, they know what's going on. And I haven't seen him talk down to anybody, which is a rarity sometimes in any aspect of business. So to have somebody like that, and somebody that is appreciative of the series and having them here, it really makes our job a lot easier.
No doubt about it. And one of the other things that Greg did that I was really impressed with, and Brian, you were a part of, I can't remember what day, earlier in the week, I think it was on Thursday. It was the same day as the car show. We had a press conference over at Cocopah Casino in the River Room over there. And I will tell you, the media that showed up was impressive. The layout, the way they put that together to where all the media could come in there and interact with the drivers that we had over there. Zach Chappell was one of them, Brady Bacon, Gary Wright, the all-time winner in the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, yourself and Emmett Hahn took questions from the local media. And then you look at what that does, again, for the grandstands. I mean, that exposure, the paper here, the local paper on Friday had a giant spread because of that press conference.
Yeah, and I mean, they've even posted video from that press conference. So, again, it got us in front of the local fans. It got us in front of the people that are here for the winter, and it was really beneficial. And if ticket sales weren't doing good before that, they definitely improved after that because of the exposure that we did get. And it was nice, too, having you in there filming it and able to field some questions and able to kind of fill in. It gave the local media a way to kind of look at it and go, okay, here's what I need to ask. Because that's one thing about coming in here for the first time. They may not know what to ask, and they may not know exactly how to ask the question. So, with you asking questions and then Ashley asking questions, Donna was asking a few questions, and even a couple people in the back that were more or less just there to be there. They were asking intelligent questions, and they were asking really good questions of the drivers. And it was bringing out a lot of the history, including Gary Wright's grandkids, which was kind of a funny point in that deal. But, it brought out some of the history of these drivers and where they started and where they are now. And like when Zach Chappell, they brought up the fact, well, he was 19 when he won his championship. And he said, I probably didn't appreciate it as much then as I do now. So it was neat to have that.
It's our job to educate the non-motorsports media. That's our job when we roll into town, and Brian and I and all the staff at ASCS will do that as best as we can. All right, so let's go right now to some of that video that I shot of the press conference at Cocopah Speedway. This is a little bit earlier in the week.
I just wanted to thank Greg and the people here for having us down here. I know this is the first time I've been here to the Speedway, and probably these kids right here, I'm sure it's the first time they've been down here, but to come to be able to race at a nice, clean facility like this down here means a lot to our series. That's another reason that Lucas Oil brought in their production crew to televise this show. I know Forrest Lucas and Bob at Lucas Oil is proud this year to have all of our TV will be on NBC Sports instead of Versus, what we've had in the last 3 years. So to get some coverage on NBC Sports will be good for us, be good for you. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. I think the one thing that's probably my job that I need to convince people here in this region, here in the city of Yuma, just how good and competitive this series is. We've got the biggest sprint car series in the country. We got the most competitive sprint car series in the country. And to be here, I just hope we can convey this to our spectators that lives here in this town as just how good of a show this is going to be. Because these guys are, to say they're great racers is an understatement. And that's one thing that's nice about our sprint car series. When these guys pull in the gate over there tomorrow night, there's probably 15, maybe 20 of them guys that's capable of winning the main event. So you just don't see that much anymore across the country. So we got our Southwest region that's based out of Phoenix. This will be a point race for them guys, so we'll get a bunch of the local guys coming over here. I do know Saturday night, a couple of the Southwest guys won their heat races, and people don't realize this, but this is what made the World of Outlaws what they are today. Back when Ted Johnson started that thing, he would just bring his little circus to town, and just like this guy right here, when they come to the Devil's Bowl, people wanted to see how Gary Wright would size up against them, and Gary's won a lot of outlaw shows. And what's happened now with the Outlaw Series is there's just not that many 410s around the country. So that's what our regions are about, to where when we come into an area, we don't have to worry about car count. We'll have good competitive cars. So that's been our philosophy. Another thing we're real proud of, when we started this program in '92, the engine rules have not changed since 1992, so we're very proud of that. When you don't change rules, it don't cost your racers money.
I think it's a good change. You know, the way the series was going there for a while. I think we have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. So it's going to be more exposure for the series. As a car owner myself, I think it's a little bit easier to get sponsors to help you for a larger amount of races. The distance in between each race is less, so we're racing for a little bit less, but we're traveling a lot less in between the shows, so that helps a lot. And I think we'll be able to, with this many races, build it back up and bring the purses back up as time goes on.
You know, this year I feel a lot more confident. You know, we've got our stuff out there ready to go. We've went all winter trying to prepare, trying to get ready to go.
Well, I believe Emmett talked about it a while ago. Back years ago, you had maybe 4 or 5 cars to outrun, and that was it. Those days have changed. But it's the same, even when you run a World of Outlaw race. Back then, there was only 4 or 5 cars to outrun. ASCS was the same way. Now it's 20 cars to outrun. So the competition level has really gone up.
Well, there you have it. That's the press conference from Cocopah Resort and Casino here in Yuma, Arizona. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Brian and I had a chance to talk to some of the key players in last night's A-Main here on the Lucas Oil ASCS show.
This is Wayne Johnson, and you're watching the Lucas Oil ASCS on RacinBoys.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinions, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Let the fun begin, and let it begin with the Wild Winter Fun Package from Cocopah Resort and Conference Center and Wild River Family Entertainment Center. Just listen to what's in the Winter Fun Package. Deluxe room accommodations for up to 4 people in the comfort of the new Cocopah Resort for one night. Guests of the hotel enjoy 24-hour access to the heated pool, spa, and workout room and expansive continental breakfast. You can then head over to the Wild River Family Entertainment Center to play using your $30 fun card that's included in your package. Your fun card buys you access to bowling, arcade, laser tag, food, and spirits. That's a lot of winter fun all rolled into one. And here's the best part. It's all just $99, including your $30 fun card. Cocopah Resort and Conference Center and Wild River Family Entertainment Center have thought of everything. Call 722-6677 to make your reservation today. That's 722-6677.
Attendees of Cocopah Speedway get a discounted hotel rate. Just mention Speedway.
Down here in the pits with a guy that picked up a second-place finish night number 1 at Cocopah Speedway, Johnny Herrera. Johnny, good run last night.
Yeah, we had a good car. I mean, we drew a decent number, put us in a good starting spot. We had some good cars in our heat race, of course. I mean, I think we had Jason in there and Tony Bruce and Dustin Morgan and, Rick Zeal, the Southwest Region champion. We had a lot of good guys in there, but we got a good start. You had to get at least past one car, and we got that done. Started third, we run second, so that got us in the redraw. And I think we started sixth and capitalized on that and run second.
Yeah, track was slicked off. I wouldn't have given you a plug nickel that thing was going to go green all the way.
Well, I didn't think so either. And actually, I really thought, me and even Jason were talking there, and we went out to do the draw, we're looking at the track and the black in it. So if this thing ever gets cleaned off, you might get some rubber down, but boy, it didn't. It surprised me, but it's still, still good racing, still fast racetrack. I mean, 2 lines in the top was early in the race was the most the fastest way, but there towards the end, the bottom came into play, and you had kind of 2 lines.
Yeah. Talk about that lap traffic. It came into play last night, didn't it?
Well, yeah, actually, Dustin was doing a really good job there. He got there and was leading in there, and then we got a lap traffic. He started making some mistakes, but that's going to happen. And once he settled down through all that lap traffic, I see there was 4 of us there at one time battling for the lead. But once we got through the heavy lap traffic, he settled down, and he actually had a little bit better race car than myself or probably Jason or Wayne. He kind of got away from us there. He just didn't drive away, but he inched away a little bit, and he did a really good job. He had a good car, so. Maybe tonight we'll give him a run.
Yeah. Do you prefer these big, fast, slick tracks like this? I mean, I guess as a driver, you got to be well-rounded and be able to drive on any track. But do you have a preference?
Well, I seem to like the bigger tracks, but I run good at the short tracks too. I mean, I go to quarter miles. There's certain quarter miles I go good, and some I don't. It's just not that I don't go good, but it seemed to you can count on me being right in the hunt on some racetracks. Right, and challenging for the win. Other ones, well, you're probably going to be a top 5 car, and we can count on that. So I prefer I like the more bigger, sweeping momentum tracks, but at the same time, like you got to be well-rounded. You got to adapt to all of them.
How about that crowd here last night? Nearly 3,000 people. Greg Burgess, Brian and I were talking about a little bit in the open. They're doing a great job at promoting this facility, the nice work they've done to the track. You've got the casino and the entertainment center across the street. This is the way you're supposed to do it, right?
Well, absolutely. This is, it's a fine facility. Like I said, I think I ran here years ago, I can't remember how many years ago.
Well, it has to be 93 because sprint cars haven't been here since 93.
But it's probably the last time it was a sprint car, and it was 93. And, I don't remember the racetrack much, but it's a nice facility out here in the middle of nowhere, out in the desert. Beautiful facility, the way that it's built in, the grandstands on the side of the hill. The racetrack's in good shape. Like you said, the casino across the street, the people and the fans have been nothing but nice. So it's good to see them have some success for the ASCS series.
All right, man. Good luck tonight.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's send it over to Brian. He's caught up with another guy that was a key player in last night's A-Main, Wayne Johnson.
Thank you very much, Scott. Real quick, you're going to catch up with Wayne Johnson. Now, Wayne, you had a great battle last night. You and Jason going all over the racetrack. At one point, you did get past him there in the closing laps. Jason, unfortunately, able to get around you, though. The car handling the best I've seen since the start of this season.
Yeah, we really been working on this thing, and the last couple of races up till last night, we were loose, free, tight. We just couldn't get the handle on it, and last night we just went back to some old Devil's Bowl notes because this place reminds me a lot of Devil's Bowl in the shape, and seemed to work pretty good.
Now, going back to some of the ways you're having to get through traffic, lap traffic definitely played a key role in able to get up there and get up into the top 5.
Yeah, I don't know. Those guys seemed like they were having a lot of trouble with traffic, and when I got to them, it seemed like I could go right through the middle. Where they needed to lean on something or needed to find some moisture, I could go right through the black, and I really think that's where I was really picking up on those guys. But it wasn't a good race where I was sitting. I mean, I got by Jason, got up through there. I know it was a great race for the fans to see or whatever, but he got back by me there late and ended up 4th. But you know, we started 12th, so we get to 4th is okay, but I sure would have rather had 3rd.
Now, of course, you're up here looking at the track. We're about to get into night number 2, and they did come out. They did blade the track. They've got a lot of moisture back down in it. You looked for the track to do the same thing tonight as far as slicking off?
Yeah, I don't think that they can do much to this thing. You know, I think with the sun the way it is, the wind and the sand that's all around, that it's just going to get back hard and slick the way it was. And I think they really should let it do that, because, I mean, I think it was a hell of a race for the fans, and that's the way I like them anyway. So I'm hoping that's the way it is again. I'm just with these locked-in nights, you don't get very many laps on the racetrack. So biggest thing is for me is just to keep my eye on the racetrack and make sure it does do what I'm thinking it's going to do.
All right, Wayne Johnson, a 4th place finish last night. He has finished in the top 5 since he has started the season. Certainly look for him to go to the front tonight.
Thanks, Brian. Well, we've caught up with last night's winner, night number 1 here at Cocopah Speedway, his first National Tour win, Dustin Morgan. Dustin, congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. It's been a long time. You know, I've been waiting to hear those words come out of your guys' mouth, and finally got her done. And it was definitely a good run. It's been a long time waiting. It's nice.
Talk about that getting out in the lead. It looked like you were just going to check out. We went green-white checkered on this deal, and that lap traffic kind of played havoc to a few guys out there.
Yeah, you know, fortunately, I didn't have any traffic in front of me that I had to focus on besides, you know, the lap cars, so I could go ahead and pick my point when we got up to them, and it really made it easy on us. And then once that 98 car poked his nose in there, I had to get them elbows back up and get off cruise control. And, man, fortunately, we had that one little deal where we went 3 wide down the backstretch, and I just drove around about 20 foot deeper than everyone else and got in front of that other lap cars, and that was it. That's all she wrote. And it definitely worked out in our favor.
Lights out at that point for sure, no doubt about it. That track was slick from top to bottom, man. There wasn't much up at the top to get a hold of. The margins were slim.
Yeah, you know, but when it comes down to slick tracks, me and Jimmy got a good communication on what we need to get out of this car. And at Lucas Oil, that's another one I want to bring up. It was real slick there. It started deep twice, and we could take this thing right through the middle and drive by cars. And when it gets on tracks like this, you know, we definitely got something figured out that's working for us.
You know, you speak of Lucas Oil. This track kind of reminds me of it in several ways. I mean, the track conditions last night, but not only that, the amount of fans that showed up last night. I mean, if you're going to get your first National Tour win, it's good to do it in front of 3,000 people. You
know what? Yuma really brought a good crowd out. When we were rolling through town and stuff, we looked, and really we were kind of worried about it. But then we come out here, heat races, and they're good fans. They're out there, they're cheering, they're here all the time, and they're into the races just like we are. So, I mean, it's good to go to a track with a lot of good fans like that for sure.
Dustin, I know that the plans weren't to run the full National Tour this year after being out there with us for the last few years. You know I'm going to set you up here because you know I'm an ASCS homer, man. Is there any chance that you could change your mind and run the National Tour full time?
It's a possibility. You know, this year is one of those years I really want to focus on getting as many laps as I can in any kind of car that I can. So, you know, I really think that win we got last night was helped by going out early and running with the Outlaws in Florida beginning of this year, because I really got to learn a lot running with those guys, and I'd like to run with those guys as often as I could, but, you know, they do so much traveling, and one of these things about this sport is the TNT, you know, it's the tires and travel that really cost the money. And, you know, when you come out, you got a limited budget, and you got to just play what you can, you know, with what you got. So, if it comes down around to it and we're actually fighting still up here in the points, I think we're 5th now after last night's run, but if we can keep knocking cars off at a time and keep gathering these points up, then we might just stick around.
Never say never is what you're saying.
Yep, never give up, never say never. You know, we've had a long fight, and last night is just one of those deals that's saying, you know, if you keep with it and keep fighting, soon enough you'll get there, and you know, I think we're finally there.
All right, what does it mean to finally get that National Tour win to you?
You know, it's a big weight off me and my father's shoulders. You know, we've done this thing a long time with each other, and we've been close many times, but we haven't got that win. And we finally got that win now. It was a big weight lifted off our shoulders. Now that we got that out of the way, because it's always the first one, the toughest one's the first one. Yep. And now I really think we can start pouring them on, and see us in victory lane more often, and see us in a championship run maybe.
Got to feel good about your chances tonight.
I do feel good. We're really looking forward to it.
All right, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Let's send it over, Brian. He's caught up with Mitch Olson.
Thank you very much, Scott. Going to catch up here with Mitch Olson. Now, Mitch, a long drive to get down here, and really coming out of the gate, you're a little slow, but you have picked up a lot of speed here. But really, we've got to give you a lot of props because this is really the first time you've been back in the cars consistently since July of last year.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we ran into some financial issues in the middle of the season last year, and the motors are kind of the biggest expense of sprint car racing, and when you run out of them and you got to make a change, it just, it's not something you could just up and do, especially in the middle of the season. So we just had to stop, regroup, save up, and start again this year. So hopefully this season will be a lot better and see what we can do.
Now, last night you were up there with Dustin Morgan. You're able to get around him. You led 2 laps in this thing, and the car looked fantastic. The track slick top to bottom. Lap traffic, though, was really kind of the determining factor towards the end of that race.
Yeah, it really was. And one of the first guys we came to was a guy I had an issue with at Peoria, so I was a little leery of getting around him. And that probably slowed me down. But, back to the seat time, if I was 10 races into the season, it probably would have been a different story. And the car was definitely faster than what I was. So I really got to thank Brian Crockett for coming down here with us and turning wrenches on it. We've made great gains with him helping out, and I just can't thank him enough. And we definitely wouldn't have made it down here without our normal crew support, the Vallon family back at home. And like I said, the car wouldn't even have made it down without them helping.
Of course, I mean, the sponsor is always the backbone of these race teams, and it's good to see you down here. Good to see you making the trip to start off the season with the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series. Going into night number 2, they were able to work the track a little bit last night. What are you looking for at tonight's racetrack?
Really, I think it's going to be one of them tracks that's going to be hard to get it racy in the heat races. But you couldn't ask for a better feature event. It was the top gave up a little bit too much in the feature, and the bottom was pretty much where you were going to end up being. But I don't think anybody could ask it for a better A-main racetrack. But the heat races, I think, just the surface it's going to be fast and hard to pass.
All right, there you have it, Mitch Olson making the long trip down here to the Copper State. And Scott, we're going to send it back to you because he's caught up with Jason Johnson.
Thanks, Brian. We've caught up with the current leader of the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series Points Championship, Jason Johnson. Jason, good run last night.
Tell you what, thank you. The guy's been working really hard on this race team all winter long while I was down in Australia, and to come out at the beginning of the season strong, it just shows how good these guys work together over the winter.
Yeah. Well, that lap traffic, we've talked to all the drivers. Man, it was a struggle with some of them.
I tell you what, that's fun. I mean, when you get lap traffic like that and got to move around and you can't just run the predominant line and you got to think about where you need to be and where to get by cars and kind of predict where the lap cars are going to go, it makes it challenging. So I enjoyed it.
Talk about the track. I thought before the A-main, I looked at turn 4 and I thought, man, it looks like it could take rubber over there, but it never took rubber. It just stayed slick.
Yeah, it kind of surprised ourselves even. We were kind of waiting for the rubber about 5 or 10 laps to go, and I kept crisscrossing the racetrack, and Wayne put a couple sliders on me, but he never seemed to stop and just go. Like he come all the way out to the curb. So, yeah, pretty surprising. I mean, I figured it was going to lay rubber there at the end of the race, but it didn't, and it served to be a fantastic racetrack in the end of the race.
I've talked to you several times about this Roush Yates engine program that you're on with Ricky, and you talk about how they really pull all the way through. But unfortunately, last night with the track conditions, you were able to really get it hooked up to where you could really eat down the straightaways like you would if it would have been a little tackier.
Well, I'll tell you what, like in the heat race, that shows the true horsepower that Roush Yates Ford's build is. In that heat race, we propelled up to third in a really tough heat race, so that was really good. But, yeah, you're right. Come feature time, it slicked off, and that's the point where we have to work a little bit harder. And, we've been on the phone all day, talking about the things that we need to change and what we need to look at, and they're very responsive. So with the helps of Roush Yates and as well as Doug Schoenfield, I think we're going to get this thing tuned right in, come to slick tracks and where we need to be.
I've talked to you on the radio show about this, but what would it mean for you to win a championship, the first Ford that would win a championship for the ASCS National Tour, and what would it mean for the Jeff and Jeremy back at Roush Yates?
Well, Roush Yates organization, they definitely build great power plants. I mean, for what they accomplish in NASCAR nationwide with Ricky winning the nationwide championship, it just shows how strong of an organization they actually have. So for us to put them in victory lane and to compete for a championship day in and day out, and to even think that we stand a chance of winning a championship with Roush Yates, we just like to add that to their creditability.
All right, man. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Some of the key players from last night, night number 1 of Cocopah Speedway's ASCS National Tour event. And Brian, just to let the fans know that we're not going to be able to show the entire feature from either night because Lucas Oil Productions is here. They're going to be airing this on NBC Sports. And when they do that, unfortunately, that limits us to how much we can do.
No, I mean it does, but in a good way actually, because it's going to give this race so much more exposure, and being on NBC Sports this year is going to be a great thing. And incidentally, if anybody wants to find out that schedule, it is at lucasoil.com is where they have all that listed with all the information for all the different motorsports that Lucas Oil is involved in. And again, want to thank them. I mean, if it wasn't for Lucas Oil, you wouldn't be watching this show. This Sprint Car Series wouldn't be near the size that it is. So make sure you go to lucasoil.com. You can get that schedule on there. Again, this race will be on NBC Sports later on this year, and definitely look forward to being able to see that video that they have shot here, because they do an excellent job.
All right, so night number 2 getting ready to get underway. Some of the key players, the guys that are locked in, Dustin Morgan, Johnny Herrera, Jason Johnson, Wayne Johnson. Who do you think is the favorite coming into night number 2?
You know, I really would love to see Dustin get the 2-night sweep on this thing. He was really, really good last night, but I have got to keep my eye on Wayne Johnson. He was coming in a big way, him and Jason both, but Wayne is Mr. Consistency right now. But real quick, I've got to talk about a couple things that happened last night. One, Tony Bruce Jr. made his 150th feature start with the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series, and got to give a congratulations to Kyle Evans. He started his very first National Tour A main last night and held his own out there. So just a couple of things there. And then also Danny Wood has cleared the 200 feature start mark. He did that last week over at Canyon, 201 last night. So Danny Wood showing he is not out by any stretch of the imagination.
One guy I want to keep an eye on is Jack Dover, who had horrendous bad luck night number 2 at Canyon last week, starting on the pole only to spin out before getting to the start-finish line. Last night, again, spins out in 1 and 2, falls back as far as 9th, and rallies back to a 5th-place finish. I'm sure that Jack the Gas Man Dover is motivated.
Talked to him actually a little bit when they were servicing their car, and you could tell he was irritated about that, but they're getting the car figured out, they're getting things going, and his saving grace was the fact that they did not throw the yellow. So, you know, he was able to keep it going. They didn't get too quick on the yellow, and he was able to get back on the gas and get back up there.
All right, well, here it is. Here's some highlights from night number 2 at Cocopah Speedway in Yuma, Arizona. And we want to thank Cocopah Resort and Casino for putting us up in their beautiful motel this week. They've been a great asset to the RacinBoys, and Greg Burgess as well. Here's highlights from night number 2.
Johnny Herrera again going to try to lead him off of turn number 4. We'll see if he gets to jump again. Danny Wood to his outside. We'll see if he can gain the advantage here. Watch him in a turn 3 and a turn 4. The green flag is in the air. We are underway with the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series. Johnny Herrera going to race off into the race lead here. Danny Wood, though, going to close right in on him. Danny Wood going to try to make it a battle into turns 3 and 4 for the top spot. Herrera down to the bottom of the racetrack. Danny Wood going to follow suit as he sticks it right down to the bottom of the racetrack. It's still Johnny Herrera, though, with the advantage. Johnny Herrera going to show the way. Danny Wood right now going to run in second. The 41 of Jason Johnson going to run in third. Fourth for the time being is going to be the 77X of Wayne Johnson. Your top 5 is up for grabs. 3 cars going to go at it. The 9 of Gary Wright, the 2 of Dustin Morgan, and the 99 of Brady Bacon. Right now it's going to be Gary Wright with the advantage. Dustin Morgan, though, up to the high side, going to try to give chase as they work into turns 1 and 2. Gary Wright right to the middle of the racing surface, slides it up, now grabs the cushion. Brady Bacon going to try down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's got the run. He's got 2 for 1. He'll get wholesale positions down the back straightaway. Danny Wood this time going to get the run down to the inside. The battle going to be for the race lead. Danny Wood, the storied veteran, side by side with Johnny Herrera as they work into turns 3 and 4. Herrera slides it down, slams the door. Now going to slide it back up to the top of the racetrack. Danny Wood, though, going to be challenged to the inside line. Here comes the Ford-powered 41. Jason Johnson able to work down to the inside line. He's going to try to steal the way. He's got the advantage. He's got the run. He's got second, and he's going to go after your race leader. Jason Johnson getting it done when the money's on the line. He did it last week in Peoria. Let's see if he can get it done tonight. Down to the bottom of the racetrack. The battle is for the lead. Johnny Herrera up to the high side. Jason Johnson down to the inside there. Wheel to wheel into turns 1 and 2. Side by side. They continue down the back straightaway. And you got a new leader. Jason Johnson will steal it away. Jason Johnson going to steal away the race lead. Johnny Herrera now going to tuck down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to try to go right into the tire tracks of Johnson. But Jason's able to just pull away with this thing. The 41 of Jason Johnson, the 45X of Johnny Herrera, the 81 of Danny Wood, the 9 of Gary Wright, the 77X of Wayne Johnson. Right now, your top 5. We continue green flag racing as we have less than 9 laps to go. It is all Jason Johnson. The Roush Yates Ford, Mesilla Valley Transportation, GT Bobcat, and the Shop Diesel Services 41 continuing to dominate here as he has a straightaway over the 81 of Danny Wood. Danny Wood held up behind the 33 via Henry Van Dam. Van Dam a lap down to competition here as they work up at turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. We work through turns 3 and 4. Jason Johnson now with a pair of lap cars right in front of him. Danny Wood is starting to close in. Danny Wood from a straightaway back now. He is within about 6 car lengths as they work up at turn number 2. They will bolt down the back straightaway as we have less than 3 laps to go this time. They're going to come to 2 laps remaining. Danny Wood is starting to close in on Jason Johnson. Can he make the run here in the final laps? Jason Johnson down the front straightaway. Danny Wood stalking him now as they work into turns 1 and 2. Danny Wood up to the top of the racetrack. Jason Johnson down to the bottom. He's held up by lap traffic. Here comes Danny Wood. Danny Wood, 2 car lengths behind your race leader. They work into turns 3 and 4. They're going to go side by side as the white flag waves. The battle is for the lead. Jason Johnson down to the bottom of Matt Covington. He's going to try to pin the 81 up to the high side. Danny Wood, he's got the run. He's got the advantage. He's got the race lead. Danny Wood will lead down the back straightaway. Oh my! Danny Wood under green flag laps. He will run down. He will pass him. He will get the win. Danny Wood! Danny Wood will get the race win. Holy cow, race fans!
Danny, congratulations. The white flag lap into slower traffic. Jason stuck on the bottom of the racetrack. You ran him down under green flag laps from a full straightaway back. Take us through that race.
Well, I seen him up there in traffic, and I'm sure that was holding him up a little bit, you know, but like I said, the car was working beautiful, and I just trying to be patient with it, not get hung up with anybody, you know, get in trouble, run just a smooth race, keep my head, and it all worked out. I think he got trapped up behind a couple of cars there, and, you know, I made the right move. And they always say sometimes it's better to be running second in those situations, and I think it helped me tonight.